All right, today, folks, we are jumping into probably the most used and most amazing part of, I think, Google software, which is slides. I think for most people, it was the first place that they went to as a user, and they jumped right into doing Google Slides, which is awesome. So what we're going to look at today is, again, we're going to spend about 15 minutes on GCE1. We're going to spend about 15 minutes on GCE2, and then we're going to spend about 5 to 10 minutes on some best practices, some ideas, some things that would help you out to be a better user of Google Slides. At the end, we'll cut the recording, and then if you have questions, worries, anxieties, we will jump in and get you guys all set on anything else that you have worries about. Just a reminder as well, we are using our Google site today. I'm just going to copy our link to it and put it in the chat. We are using this awesome Google site for UEN fall trainings today. And everything that you need to know is on there throughout the entire training. So if for some reason you are out for one day or something like that, a lot of people were emailing me saying PTC is this week. So a lot of people were like, I gotta be other way places. Still good. We put everything up here, all the videos, all the resources that you might need as we go through. All right, with that said, we're gonna jump right in. Remember, if you have questions, feel free to drop those in the chat and add those to whatever you are asking as we go through. And we will get you guys all set up with those at the end. All right, let's go ahead. I'm gonna share my screen now and show you guys some really cool stuff about Google. So first off, this is our training site. The link just is in the chat for you. We're gonna scroll down to slides. And on this sheet or the slide page, you're going to be able to see all the stuff for GCE1, GCE2, and then the recommended tips. And again, we're going to start with GCE1, get you into a good place. First tip that I'm going to talk about is one of my favorites, and it's not something that's on the test, but it's definitely useful, is that if you put in the URL slides.new, it'll read your Google account and give you a brand new slide deck to work off of. So feel free to use that right now if you're going to play along with us and get you in a good place. Now, most of us have used slides or PowerPoint before. A lot of this is going to be, if you've used Google Suite, most likely you've used slides. But we're going to try and get you into some really cool spaces today for the things that maybe you haven't seen before, some of the things that maybe might be useful for you on class projects or having your students do. So first of all, the things that Google wants you to know for GCE1. So the first thing is that they want you to be able to create a slide deck. First of all, slides.new is a great way to do it. Option number 2 is to go to your drive and create a slide deck from there. If you go to create new slide deck, you're good to go. Or you can also go to slides.google.com and create a slide deck from there. There's lots of options to build that. And I just want to show you guys one little thing. I've created this new slide deck, but I'm going to click the yellow box on the top right or left corner. And this is going to take me just to my slides homepage. And a lot of teachers don't, I personally don't use this very often, but I found it really useful the last couple of days to look at a couple things. So right here, obviously there's our blank slide deck. We can grab that and start working with it. But across the top, Google has provided a ton of options and templates that you can use. One of my favorite ones is this flashcards. So as a teacher, you can ask your students to use this flashcard template, and you can build flashcards in your class. Really, really cool little way to build things and get into some really good space. And if you want to see more templates, just go ahead and hit the template gallery. It'll open it up. I don't have any for Utah Education Network, but there are a ton in general, and everyone has access to the general regardless of your account. So even your students will have access to these, and they can build some really cool stuff with it. Now, if you want to get fancy, you could create your own template, share it out, and have your students work off of it. It's really fun to do that. All right, again, we're going to just hit blank, and we're going to go back into our slide deck. So that's how to create a slide deck, folks. There's a couple of different ways there. My favorite, again, if I need one on the fly, slides.new. Going to jump right in. All right. As always, best practice, they want you to know how to title your slide deck. So right there, we're going to add a slide deck title up in the top left corner. I'm going to call this GCE1 and 2 and get you all set that way. And then right here in the middle, we can go ahead and add a title to our slide deck as well. So I'm just going to call it the same thing. And one of my favorite things about this is that if I hit Control A, which is select all in that box, I can then go ahead and play with my fonts up here. And I can find a font that I'm really comfortable with. I really like this one that's Crimson Pro and Crimson Text. It's a font that's really close to Times New Roman, but different enough to make me feel like I'm doing something different. But you can grab any one you want, or you can go ahead and hit more fonts at the top, and you can see all sorts of fonts that you might want to add to your presentation. And it just goes on and on and on. And all you have to do is, let's say I want EXO here, click it, click OK. And now it changes my font, but now EXO is in my fonts across Google. So this works in docs, sheets, slides, sites, forms, all sorts of places. Forms is actually adding a lot of stuff about being able to change your fonts. It's really kind of cool. All right. To add text to a slide deck, you can use a pre-made slide deck to have the boxes are in a specific place. So like, for instance, if I go ahead and click over here on the right-hand side, hit new slide or Control M to get a new slide as well, that can give me exactly what I want. Or if I just want a blank slide, like for instance, I can grab everything in here, delete it out. If I want to grab a new text box, just hit the text box link right here, or hit Insert Text Box. And then I can draw the size of the text box I want. So right there, I'm going to grab that, and I can just go ahead and start writing. And I'm good to go. Again, play with my font, my size, whatever I'd like it to do. All right, we're going to go ahead and add a YouTube video as well. So under Insert, we also have our text box, but if we go to Video right here, we can click Video, it automatically defaults to YouTube. Now, there are some districts that don't allow YouTube, so you can still grab things by URL, or you can have things from your Google Drive. This is great if you are creating your own videos and you're uploading them and sharing them that way. So I'm just going to go ahead and type in our key phrases for videos that we've made before for these presentations. Here's the one from last week for sheets and forms. I'm going to select that video so you can see it with the blue around it. And then I'm going to hit select, and that video is going to drop into my presentation, which is really great. Now over here on the left or right-hand side, you can see that as soon as I added that video, format options came up. So if I want certain things for my students to happen when they jump on the slide deck, I can go ahead and play with these. So like the first one is play on click. Well, that means that when they click into the slide deck, or I click into the slide deck and I'm presenting it, it automatically starts playing. Or sorry, that clicks when I click the video. If I put it on automatic, it plays when I go to that slide, or play manual, I can play around with whenever I want it to play. And all you have to do is click the one you want, and it'll jump on there. The second thing that you can do is also have it play at a certain moment. So if you're in a long presentation like a TED Talk or a long Google training like this, you can go ahead. I want it to start at, let's say, we'll put this as 22 minutes in. We're good to go. So that really gives us a lot of options right there as well. You can also mute the audio and just have the video play. And then there's lots of things for size and rotation, about position, and you can add a drop shadow here, which we'll talk about that here in a little bit as well. All right, now that I have my video in there, I want to add a comment. So I'm going to highlight this this little text box that I put in there. And just like we did on docs and slides, you can use the little hotkey, which is Control-Alt-M, to do a comment, and you can see that pop up, or you can just select the text and hit the comment button right here as well. It looks like a little speech bubble with a plus sign in it. From there, then you can @ somebody, so I can @ myself, and then put a comment there. This video is awesome. Okay, and then you can also assign the comment. If we didn't make this clear in docs or in sheets, if you put a sign to it, it means that it sends that person an email and says you need to pay attention to this comment and make sure it gets fixed or changed or otherwise noted. So it makes it really great for collaboration with students or in groups, something easy to show students, and it takes just a second once they start putting it in action. All you have to do is click assign, and then that comment gets shared, and you are good to go. All right. So now we've learned how to do comments. We've set our video to play automatically, and now we're going to share our presentation. So just like anything else inside of Google, if we want to share our presentation, we just go up to the big share button in the top right-hand corner of our screen and click share. Now, if we want to share it with one person or a group, we can go ahead and find that person in our top part right here, like Kayla, who's in our meeting right now. I'm going to share this with you really quickly. So I just click her name, I can add a message that I want, and then I can go ahead and click send. Or I can go ahead and go down here and click get link. Notice that it says Utah Education Network. That means that anyone inside my domain can see this presentation if I share this link with them. But if I want everyone on the web to be able to visit it, I can click anyone with a link. And now this link I can send it to anybody out on the web. They can view it and they can make a copy if they want to. They can also do sorts of things. All right. Let's go back to font for a second. So I showed you how to change font color, or sorry, font type, which is just right here. And we can click more fonts and we can change it all around. We change our font size just right here. Then we can also change our font color. So like, for instance, I can grab any color I want on here, like this nice blue right here, or I can go ahead and hit a custom color. So just right here, and I can play around with my color wheel. Ooh, I like that aqua color right there. That's good. This right here, just as a side note, folks, this is just a little bit of cool information. This is called a hex code, and you can use this on a lot of different places on the web. It's just telling the computer on the internet, this is the color I'm choosing, and this is the 6-digit code of letters and numbers to tell you exactly what color I'm grabbing. So you could take this to Google Sites, Docs, you could take it to Canvas, Canva, whatever you want. And no matter what, you're going to get that shade of blue with that little string of colors, or sorry, of letters and numbers, which is really cool. So I hit OK, and I'm good to go. All right, so now we got size, font, color. We can also do underlining, bold, italics. We can do a highlighter if we want to, all sorts of really cool things. All right, I'm going to grab another new slide. And now what we're going to do, I'm going to delete these first really quick. Poof, just like that. I'm going to go to insert and I'm going to add an image. So if I go to image, again, I can just like normal, any other of the products we've looked at over the last couple of weeks, I can upload to my computer. I can search the web, which is Google Image Search, and it's set to save search. I can grab stuff from Google Drive, my photos. I can search by a URL, or I can turn on my camera and take a picture as well, which a lot of teachers really love, especially on slide decks, because you might have paperwork, you want them to turn in a picture of it. There it is, easy way to do it. And pretty easy for students to learn as well. Right now, I'm just gonna go ahead and search the web. I'm gonna do my default that I always go to, which is tigers. I'm gonna grab this guy right here and drop him onto the page. So there we go. I have my picture. Now I can go ahead and resize it if I want to. I can move it around. I can tilt it as well, grabbing the little handle up here. And I can do all sorts of fun things with it. Now, let's say I want that picture to be my background, though. That's a whole different ballgame. All right, well, I'm going to delete that really quickly. And right here on my toolbar, I have background. And if I click background, I get some options. So the first one is just a color. So I can go and grab that awesome blue that I grabbed earlier if I want to, and that can be my background. You can also select gradients, which is kind of cool. So it gives you a nice fade out or fade in. But Google wants you to know how to change the background of your slide to a color or to a picture. So again, I'm going to hit picture, and you see these options. I got upload, camera by URL, photos, Google Drive, or Google Image Search. That is the one we're going to use right there. And I'm going to go ahead and search for the same thing I did a minute ago, tigers. And there's my picture. So if I click that, hit insert, and click done, it's going to change my background to that picture. For a lot of teachers, this is really useful for doing things like setting up grids or maps and doing some really cool things where the background doesn't move, but people can label that background. We'll look at something with that here in a few minutes as well. When we get to the helpful tips, there's something really cool you can do with that to make it really cool for your students. All right. Last two things that they want you to know for GCE 1. The number one, first one is add comments to your speaker notes. So down here at the bottom, I'm just going to raise this up a little bit. This is considered your speaker notes area. So this is only visible to you and anybody who makes a copy of your slide deck or views it as a slide deck. So this is where you can put all sorts of information. You can put URLs. You can put your speaking order, all sorts of things that make it a lot easier for you to present and make things easier for your audience to understand and easier for you to work with as well. What's nice is if I have these and I go to present, which is just right up here, then I can set it so I can actually see my speaker notes right there. And only I can see those and set those off to the side so I can see exactly what I'm speaking about. And I'm the only person that works with it. Now, what's nice about that as well, I just moved it off to the side here. Now I'll move it back. Hopefully you guys can see that. I can see I've got a timer and I can reset it as I go through. But then also I can do audience tools. And this is just kind of an advanced feature. So this would be more of a helpful tip, but since we're here, I'm going to cover it as well. I can do audience tools, hit start new. It gives me a code that then I can hand out to my students. So there it is right there. And they can ask questions as I go through the presentation without having to interrupt me. And it just gives a little notice that here are all these questions that I could answer and work through as well. So lots of really cool things there as well for you to work with. And notice when I got the speaker notes, or sorry, that the audience tools turned on, it dropped the ask a question at this website at the top of my slide deck so that people can answer it really quickly. So cool little tool there for a lot of teachers, especially if you're doing a lot of direct instruction, to get questions with and have a back channel without really having to worry too much about that. All right, I'm going to close out of that and I'm going to exit out of my slide deck there just by hitting escape. The last thing they want you to know is how to copy and paste a slide. So just like how we've done before, Control C, Control V. So I've got this awesome tiger slide picked up. I'm going to Control C it. And you can see that I have it selected because I have an orange box around it. I'm going to hit Control C. And I'm going to hit Control V and it creates that duplicate for me. Okay. However, I can also hit Control D and it'll duplicate it for me as well. Duplicate, Control D, duplicate. Yeah, it works out really cool. I love doing that. All right. That's it for GCE1. So again, highlights, creating your slide deck, adding text to the slides, manipulating that text, adding comments, inserting videos and pictures to your presentation, changing the backgrounds, making sure that the background looks good, and then the speaker notes and copying and pasting slides. All right, I'm going to jump over from GCE1 to GCE2 now. And just because it's a lot easier to start a new one, I'm just going to go ahead, or to start from fresh, I'm going to go ahead and do that right now with a slides.new. All right, there's only a few things that they want you to know for GCE2. A lot of it is duplicates, like things like making sure you title your presentation, text, and those sorts of things. But there's a lot of really cool ones. So the first one is changing the theme of your slide deck. So when I go into a brand new slide deck, you can see right here on my left-hand side or right-hand side, it pops up with a brand new box. It's called themes. And in there, if I click on any of these, let's go with this one with the bubbles here. It goes ahead and adds that theme to all my slides. Now, any of these work really, really well, and they're all pretty default. And Google does add to these quite frequently. But let's say I wanted to have a theme from a slide deck that maybe I built somewhere else, or maybe I'm borrowing it from somebody I work with. So if I hit import theme, I can go and look for a slide deck that I have used before. Like for instance, this one right here, this is something that I built off of a long time ago. Hit select, and I want this Dion template, hit import theme, and it will add that theme to my presentation. Just as a side note, again, helpful tips. There's some great websites like Slide Carnival. I'd love to see if anybody has any other ones. So please hit me up in the chat. But Slide Carnival, what it does is allows you to freely grab really cool templates that are pre-made by pretty good artists. We'll look at one here in just a few minutes that I really love, and when we get to the helpful tips. So they want you to know how to change that theme, and now you know how to do that, plus import a theme, which is really nice. I'm going to hit Control Z just because I'm going to change it to a little bit more easily visible theme just so I can see it. So I have this theme ready to go. Oh, Slides Mania. Thank you, Jeannie. That is an awesome one as well. Oof, Slide Carnival, Slides Mania. Perfect. All right. Next thing they want you to do, and I'm just going to go ahead and grab a new slide as well and delete those two. There we go. They want you to add an image, but as we work with that image, we want to be able to then manipulate that image. So I'm going to go ahead. Oops. Oh, sorry. Had to catch up with me for a second there, folks. So I'm going to go ahead and do tigers, grab this guy again, hit insert. Now, when that picture goes ahead and opens, I can then go ahead and scroll over to my menu, all the way over to this left-hand or right-hand side and hit format options. And it's going to give me all of these format options for my picture. We know these are the format options for the picture because the picture is highlighted here. You can see that with that blue around it. or I can click off of it and those go away. So we know that we're working with this picture. So on there, we can change their size and rotation. We can change our position. So you can do that manually, which is kind of cool as well. You can recolor your picture. So if you want it to be, let's say, black and white, there you go. Actually, I think that, yeah, that's a negative. Let's do black and white. There we go. Cool. You can also do adjustments of transparency. You can do some brightness. You can play with contrast. But they want you to know how to do specifically in the notes. They wanted you to know how to do a drop shadow. So drop shadow right here. If I click it on, I'm going to move this picture just a little bit smaller. If I click into it, what a drop shadow does, it's that really cool thing where it actually gives you like this weird shadow behind it, where you can kind of see really interesting patterns with it right there. So this allows you to add a little bit of interesting visual flair to your slide deck across the board. So I definitely recommend checking out all the formatting options you can do there, especially drop shadow. You can also do reflections, and you can see we got kind of a cool reflection going on there. This would make for a great background image. I'm going to add one more thing to it that wasn't on the level 2, but we'll get into it because it's a great hint. Is if you click on the picture and we click right here, so over just a little bit on our toolbar, there's this one that has 2 little arrows coming across. It's a crop symbol. So if I hit crop, it's going to give me these black bars around it. That if I grab those black bars, it'll show me that I'm going to cut off that portion of the picture. That's awesome. That's cool. But what's even cooler is if I hit the little drop down there on the crop, I can go ahead and change the picture to be a shape. So like, let's say if I want that picture to be, this cool little like swirly banner thing. There we go. And now I have a drop shadow, this little banner thing. So it looks like it's almost 3D. So it's one of those really cool things that just makes it a little bit more interesting for you, for your students, to make your slide deck just a bit more engaging and exciting. All right. Remember, if you have questions as we go through and you're like, how did he do that? He went a little too fast. Well, first of all, I'm recording this, so we'll have that for later as well. That'll be posted by Friday. We'll share it out just like we have the last couple of weeks. But also, if you have questions or I'm going too fast, feel free to drop them in the chat and I'll make sure those get added as well. We'll get to them in a little bit. All right, last 2 things that Google wants you to know for GCE2. First one is to publish your slide deck to the web. One of my favorite things to do, especially for parent-teacher conferences, because you might get a lot of pictures throughout the year. You want your parents to be able to see those pictures, celebrate your students' work. Maybe you have some events coming up. You put them all into a slide deck, but then you want those slides to just go all the way through automatically without you having to do too much. Well, we go up to File, and we go down to Publish to the Web. It's just the very second to last menu down here. We can go ahead and hit Publish. And what this will do is publish this as a website that then you can play with whether or not how quickly the slides go through. So the first one, auto event slides, we can change it to any second we want. I usually do about 15 seconds just because I'm trying to catch people's attention, but don't want to go too fast or too slow. We're going to start the slideshow as soon as the player loads, restart the slideshow at the very last slide, hit publish. And what's cool is it's going to give me a URL now that if I Control C, copy it, and Control V, paste it, there's my slide deck. And if we wait 15 seconds, which is a long time on a chat like this, it's going to change to my tiger banner that we just made a minute ago. Again, really cool way to have something kind of playing in the background. There we go. As you work with students in your classroom, maybe you have a bunch of student work that maybe you want for a gallery stroll. Or on the flip side, maybe you really want to, again, share for parent-teacher conferences or those sorts of things. Just a great way to share content in a really cool way and see how it cycled back to the beginning. All right. Publishing to the web is fantastic. All right. Last one of my favorite ones. This is literally something I've used hundreds of times, and I think it's so important for teachers to know about, is hyperlinking to jump from one slide to the next and back. So what we do is let's go ahead and add some text right here. I'm going to call this notes. And then I'm going to start a new slide, and I'm going to call this note 1. I'm going to go back up here. I'm going to add note 1 as an option. Okay. Now, if I go ahead and highlight my note 1 text that I just made, and this works for pictures as well, we'll do it here in just a second. I can go ahead and go up to my insert link or hit Control K for the hotkey. And then right here, I can paste a link. So this could send me to an outside website, a Google Earth presentation, whatever I want. Or notice that slide 3, note 1 comes up. So if I click that, boom, adds a hyperlink right there, and it's going to send me to slide 3. Now, on the flip side, I can go ahead and say, I can add a table of contents link to right here and say, I want this to link, Control K again. I want it to go back to slide 1. So if I present, I'm just going to go ahead and present this. If I click on note 1, it's going to send me to note 1. If I hit table of contents, it's going to send me back to my first slide. Why this is so cool is that you can create these awesome notes that your students can work with, to add pictures and videos and audio and all sorts of stuff. And then they can link back and forth through a table of contents. A lot of ed tech people call it, sorry, the name just left my brain there for a second. Called app notes. So it looks like an app, it works like an app, it bounces around to a lot of pages and lots of content, but basically it's a slide deck. But because of that linking feature in between different things, it's really helpful. So definitely something that I would check out and see if you can use in your classroom, because it really hammers home the connectivity of how we use Google Slides. All right, and that is everything that Google currently wants you to know for GCE 1, GCE 2. The highlights, remember, creating the presentation, adding, manipulating text, adding, manipulating photos, inserting video, having that video start at a certain time, but also playing automatically or on click, being able to publish your slides to the web, and then also having hyperlinks within your document. All right. Last thing that we're going to talk about are some helpful hints. This is where it gets a little crazy because there's some cool stuff that you can do with Google Slides. All these helpful tips are linked again on our training site, as well as the video will be once we get it there. I'm going to start a brand new slide deck just because it's easier to start from fresh again. So the first thing I'm going to show you is there are lots of things we can insert. Lots and lots of things we can insert. So if I hit insert again, we got image, we got text box, we got our video there, but there's this wonderful one for audio. So if I click audio, I can go ahead and insert a pre-recorded audio bit that I've created for my students. So just imagine my students are working and I have a slide deck where they're supposed to do something, but then there's some information embedded as an audio file so they can listen to it. So all you have to do is have the audio file on your Google Drive and then go ahead and click it. I'm going to grab this guy right here and click select. Oh, that's a big file. That must be why. We'll try a different one real quick. Grab this guy. There we go. And it just drops it as this little speech bubble. And notice that it has the play button right there. So once the students get into it, they can start playing and hearing that audio as they go through. There's also a great app, and you can see it linked right here for me. It's an add-on called Moat that if I click it, it allows me to record directly onto my slide deck. And then also students can respond back to me via audio. It's really kind of a cool app. Not enough time to really explain all of it today, but I would definitely check it out if you have a little bit of time. All right. Number 2 of helpful tips is using Theme Builder. This is awesome. So remember during GCE 2, we talked about adding a background image. So you could do like maps or like graphing paper or whatever you wanted in the background. Well, if you actually go to View and Theme Builder, you can add background images right here, and you can go ahead and restyle the text and the font so always that looks the same for you. So you can drop an image in there that you built somewhere else, and you can create that slide deck feel that's really specific to what you want to build and make it look really cool. I do this every year when I'm teaching. I make my own slide deck that's brand new that I want to kind of reflect what I'm doing with my students and the excitement that I feel about this year. And I drop those images as backgrounds in my theme builder. And then I get the text where I want it to be, move things around. And then I use that all the way through as an importable theme like we looked at earlier. So really, really fun. Let's go ahead and add one really quick. So if I go ahead and hit add picture right here, and again, I'm just going to search the web. I'm going to go for graph. So I can click that, click insert, and then go ahead and just make it huge across the back here. And now, just like I would normally, I can order it to the back. And now that becomes my background across all of my slides as I work and build my new slide deck. Now you do have to edit that across the board. So you'd have to add that graphing paper every single slide. But again, it gives you that freedom to build something really unique and different for your students. So definitely check out Theme Builder. It's fun, it's a little complex, but it definitely gives you a ton of space to build something really unique. All right, along with that, if you're looking for a good place to build some unique stuff, definitely recommend Canva. If you've never played with Canva before, it is such a cool little website. It's free for teachers and you can apply for a full account if you'd like to. It takes just a couple minutes and it's a great little tool to build some stuff. But I go ahead and go in here and they have a great, there we go. They have a great little create a design thing in the top right, and they already have an education presentation format that you can work with. Or let's just say that I want a Google Classroom announcement header. There we go. Or a lot of us are probably Canvas users. If I click on that, it'll give me Canvas banner, button, all these different things that I can work with as well. So this is a great place to build a design. Like for instance, this one that I used last week for a presentation in Nebo School District. This is just a slide deck that I built in here, but I built this whole template and all these interesting like colors and designs using Canva. So definitely recommend that if you're looking for something a little bit more advanced. And again, it's free and really kind of fun to work with. All right. Just kind of a helpful hint for presenting. A lot of teachers build a slide deck and then they are working through the ideas with what they want to cover with their students. And there's definitely slides in there that you're like, oh man, I don't want to cover that slide in here. So a couple things that you can work with. So right here, if I right click and go ahead and hit skip slide, notice that it goes with an I with a cross over it right there. That means that that slide will not be visible when I present. So if I go to present here, that's the slide's just blank. It doesn't have any text on it. If I add another slide to it, it would work out that way. We'll go back to one with where I have multiple slides and do that really quickly. Skip slide, go ahead and hit present. And notice it just skips that slide that I had skipped there. So just a little cool little tip there. It's kind of fun. All right, and the last one, if you are a teacher who is using Nearpod, go ahead and there is an Nearpod add-on that you can add right here. And then if you hit Nearpod, it's going to allow you to add the activities from Nearpod directly into your Google slide deck as placeholders so that when you go over to Nearpod, you can add in all the cool stuff. Just go ahead and hit sign in with Google and you are off to the races. So really, really cool stuff there with Nearpod as well. Definitely recommend all of this stuff for you. And again, all the helpful tips, all the GCE1, GCE2 materials are on our Google site, which is just right here. And to get to that, I'll put it in the chat here in just a minute. It is this URL right here, bit.ly/all caps UEN fall Google, and you'll be able to grab that and work through it. On the same page, you'll find the recent stuff for Google for Education, which is the EDU and 90. You'll see links to UEN Google Educator page and all of the trainings that we've done or have coming up as well. So if you want to jump ahead, learn Jamboard, learn Google Earth, sites, whatever it is, go ahead and do so. It's all there ready for you. And on any of the trainings that we've done previously, like for instance, 2 weeks ago, it was Docs. The video for Docs is already embedded onto this page. And you can go ahead and view that whenever you are ready.